Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing great and you're following the 3H's of the channel. In this video, I have 5 bizarre yet terrifying encounters. So pull up a stump, strap in, cause it's gonna get weird, and let's get into it. Thank you for watching. I don't talk about this very often, but I have this memory that I want to share with you. It's been vexing me since I was little. There's 2 stories here, but they're all about the same thing. The first time, I was around 7 or 9 years old. I was just with my parents in their room, watching TV at the time. Dad tells me to go get some water for him. I'm on the 2nd floor of my house. The kitchen is on the 1st floor. When I was little, I had a big fear of the dark, as most kids do. I decide to nut up and go on my mission to get water for my dad. As soon as I go down the stairs, I feel like something is off. I take a look around, and there is nothing unusual or out of place. I think that I'm just being scared for no reason, and I proceed to go down the stairs to finish my mission. I reach the bottom of the stairs and turn on the lights in the dining room. I then notice a head peeking from the top of the couch, staring at me. This thing, whatever it is, has a massive pale white head with a slimy texture to it, and what looks like veins popping all over its head. Its eyes are huge and red, sort of like a gray alien, but the difference, besides the color, was the white veins running in the center of the eyes to the white dot pupils it had. After like 3 seconds of us awkwardly staring at each other, it recedes back into the couch. I then book it back up the stairs to my parents' bedroom in utter disbelief. As I'm walking up the stairs, I was dreading to see the creature behind the couch, but of course, it wasn't there. I tell my dad what I saw, and he, of course, does not believe me. Dad blows me off as a scared kid and go gets the water himself. So from here, fast forward years to when I was 16 or 17 years old. We had moved a couple of times since then. It was late at night. I was in my room, laying on my bed, on the browser on my PSP. Yes, on my PSP. It was that long ago. Anyways, I have my closet open. The closet is filled with clothes hanging, and my dresser is also there. There's no room for anyone to fit or be in there without making a shit ton of noise. Even if someone decides to move, it's gonna make some noise. My bed is in the corner of my room, and I was facing the rest of the room. The closet is in front of me, where I was facing. I decide to look up from the screen of my PSP, and I see my white-headed, red-eyed visitor once again. I WTF internally. We stare at each other again for like 2 seconds. It then retreats back into the closet. And then I realize something just after the creature retreats. I was not afraid this time. Besides the initial surprise, I didn't feel fear. I then remember the first time I saw this thing when I was younger and feeling afraid. I don't know what was so different this time, maybe age. I then decided to take advantage of this feeling of lack of fear and decide to investigate the closet. Of course, there's nothing there. I feel courage and then decide to fall asleep. These days, I'm much older than that, and I haven't seen this creature since. Does anyone have any idea what the hell I saw? I want to tell you something that happened to me years ago while I was living with my sister because of college. I wrote it out one time before and posted it on the internet, but that must have been 10 years ago or so I doubt anybody read it. So 10 years ago, I was 20 years old. I moved 5 hours away from home for college. I lived at my sister's. I had 2 dogs, a rescued mutt, and a hairless breed one. The hairless one sleeps with me. The mutt has a doghouse in the garage. We don't have a yard. It just goes living room, barred door, garage, heavy metal door, outside. One particular night, the hairless dog wakes me up, whimpering and shaking. I don't remember checking the hour, but it must have been between 3 and 5 in the morning. This is a common occurrence. My dog will wake me up to go to the bathroom. I almost do it automatic now. So as I was going to the garage to let my dog out, I see the door to the outside is open. My sister has done this several times, like leaving the door open by accident or it not shutting properly and the wind will open it. The mutt ends up running around outside, and people who are trying to sleep bitch at me because the dog is making a lot of noise. So as I'm standing out there watching my dog do its business, I hear something. It sounds like something rummaging in trash or something. I adjust my sight and I see a human figure. They're crouched, going through my trash. I scream and turn on the light. The figure stands up and looks at me. It's my mom. This makes no sense. She's supposed to be 5 hours away and doesn't go anywhere without sending messages to everyone in the family. But it's literally my mom, so I'm just so confused. She just says she's sorry she scared me and that she wanted to come see us. I don't remember if I said anything in particular in response. I just remember my dog losing its shit on my arms, just thrashing and whimpering and growling. This added a significant feeling of dread to what was going on, because my dog loves my mom, but it felt like the dog was trying to escape from the whole area. At this point, I noticed my sister coming down the stairs and asking what the hell's going on with all this noise. She sees our mom and is also weirded out. At this point, she starts walking toward the barred door. I assume to open it and let her in. Then she stops and starts freaking out. That's when I noticed what really bothered me about my quote, mom. It was her body. Her body wasn't the body of a 50-year-old chubby mom. It looked like an emaciated young girl. My sister is freaking out. The dog jumps out of my arms and runs away. I hear the other dogs in the whole neighborhood losing their shit. Lights go on in all the other houses. I turn around. My mom is gone. I stay there for a bit while trying to calm down myself and my sister. After what feels like a while, I feel safe enough to go out and close the outside door. But as I'm reaching out to close it, I look across the street. I live just in front of a bunch of wild bush. I see my mom's face just poking out of the bushes. I close the door. After that, I wait for the morning to call my mom. I didn't want to call her at 4 a.m. and scared the hell out of her. Everything was normal with her. She hadn't gone anywhere. My sister left and spent a couple days with her boyfriend. Both me and my dog got traumatized about going out during the middle of the night. I ended up moving out of that house after I finished college. Nothing weird has happened since. It's kind of anticlimactic, but that's how it is. We never really talked about it much, me and my sister. I think we came to the agreement that it was a random homeless woman that maybe looked like our mom. But I know what we saw, and I don't remember too much of what she said, but I do remember that she had my mom's voice. I have a personal experience to share. I would love some input on what you guys think I saw. Some background. I grew up in the Northeast US, in a smallish town. Not rural, but not really super urban either. Our house was in a more hilly and wooded area of the town, a few miles from downtown. Old farms all around. It was basically postcard New England woodland. So I was in first grade in the early fall. I was playing outside with two of my younger brothers in the front yard. It was around 6:30 to 7 p.m. It was kind of around that dusk period of time. My mom calls us in for dinner. We run up to the front porch, leading to the front door, and I had a rubber snake toy in my hand. I whip it behind me into the grassy central part of the yard. We had a wraparound driveway with the yard in the middle. Me and my brothers turn around to watch how far it went. We watch it fly through the air and then see where it landed. We all see a shadowy black-looking figure standing exactly where the snake landed. It was approximately 3 to 4 feet tall, half blended in with the dusk. It had these weird, glowing, orangish eyes staring right at us. We all scream and stumble over each other, piling through the front door all at once, and all in tears. When we look back outside through the window, there's nothing to be seen. We go outside the next day, and the snake was cut into 3 pieces. This is the first time we ever saw it. We are adults now, and I remember this exactly the same. I'm the only one to have seen it twice though. Story to follow. This happened 5 years later. At this point, we moved across town to a larger house, more wooded, on the edge of a town forest. There was a dead-end neighborhood surrounded by dozens of acres of woods and a few quarries deep in there. At this point, I have completely put out of my mind the previous experience. I was at a friend's house for his birthday. It was midsummer this time, 7:30 to 8 p.m., around dusk again. There are around 10 of us outside playing teamed manhunt. Me and the birthday boy run into the woods and find a large downed tree trunk to hide behind. We're hiding for a couple of minutes when all of a sudden, all the forest noises just stop. There's no wind, no birds. That sort of very unsettling silence that you don't find in the woods during the summer. My friend and I look at each other once we noticed the stillness. I look behind us. About 30 yards behind us, we see the same shadowy figure staring at us, simultaneously there, but not. Glowing eyes, amorphous being. We nope the ever-loving hell out of there, screaming and crying. We leave the tree line and the noise comes back. We yell for everyone to get inside. We spend the rest of the night playing video games, trying to forget. It was at this point that I connected the dots to the original experience. Both times I felt what I can only describe as a primordial terror. To this day, I get a hair-raising feeling whenever I think about it, and until a few years ago, my eyes would water just talking about it. I saw a psychic, medium, or healer back in college, and she said that it was an energy being that was watching over me, trying to keep me from harm, but I don't buy that. I know things come in threes, and ever since I was a kid, I've been terrified what it means if I ever see it again. And I have one other experience, or sighting, or whatever you want to call it. It's not related to these previous two, but I figure I would include it. It happened in the same area, after all. As I said before, this house is at the edge of hundreds of acres of town forest. It used to be a farmland, but nature reclaimed it after 1830. The edge of our property has an old stone wall, or a remnant of it, that was used for livestock of some sort. I have many fond memories of exploring the woods in day and night, LARPing with airsoft guns, playing military, fantasy role-playing with sticks, and pretending to be wizards and soldiers and everything. Basically a quality, everyday childhood. But when this happened, I was on summer vacation. I was outside playing. I start to walk down the rock wall toward the pond in our neighborhood. It's only a quarter mile away. I can even still see our house through the trees. What happened next took place in about 15 seconds in real time. I was walking, not really paying attention. The forest got silent, and I smelled something sweet, sort of like lavender, but with something else that I've never been able to identify. And all of a sudden, the whole world seems to be dipped in a light sepia hue. 3 massive, light brown, dog-shaped things dash in front of me, right over the rock wall, like they jumped over it and directly in front of me. As soon as they cleared the wall, the world returned to normal. The smell was gone. No animals visible anywhere. I book it a Mach 10 back to the house and run inside, freaking out. I never had any explanation. I never had anything major happen since either. Not terribly scary or life-threatening, but these 3 experiences have stuck with me my whole life, and I'm always conscious of the power of the woods and things that we cannot see, understand, or explain. So I was camping on the Washington-Idaho border. I spent a lot of time around that area. I was very comfortable there. I was way up a fire road. There was absolutely nobody around. The place I'm camping at was well frequented just a few months ago, but I know for a fact that no one's around anymore. I cooked dinner in the cedar grove. It's comfy, but dark. I set up a big tarp to sleep under. It's open on one side, pretty roomy, and pretty much only good to keep the rain off of me. I notice that the wind has stopped completely, and suddenly it's like someone slowly turned off the volume knob. I get that bad feeling. You know, that feeling. I know when I'm not wanted, so I get up, pack my stuff up as fast as I can in the dark, put the fire out, and then leave. I drive down the mountain. I figure that I'm gonna find another fire road and just camp there for the night. But then I get this feeling that starts like an itch at the back of my head, that for some reason my fire isn't all the way out. People will know that it was me if a fire starts. I can't shake the feeling. I have to go back. As soon as I get back to this meadow, that bad feeling returns in full force. I park. I turn my high beams on, pointing out into the forest. So I'm going through the woods. Everything reminds me of every UFO movie ever. The trees are throwing weird shadows. I'm hearing weird noises in the trees. My nerves are really getting to me. There's a smell in the air, kind of like sulfur, kind of like copper, but I kind of think of it as the leftover smell of my fire, as it's more like a gaseous feeling in my sinuses. The wind stops again. Everything goes quiet. I look around, almost holding my breath. The trees look weird, and then I notice that what I'm looking at isn't a tree. I thought it was, but it seems to be moving in a different direction than all the other ones. As you can imagine, I slowly begin to realize that what I'm looking at is not a tree, but in fact, I don't really know exactly what it is. It's too dark. Even with my high beams shining in that direction, I can't make out exactly what I'm seeing. I just know that it's big. And then something else, very scary, at least to me, happens. I look at my car. My car is farther away from me. It's at this point that I clue in that I'm walking toward the forest and to this thing without me even realizing that I'm moving. I manage to stop myself. I'm standing perfectly still. And then I realize that this thing, this huge thing in the trees, is also now standing perfectly still. It has no face, no eyes to speak of, and it's covered in shadows, but I can tell that it's looking at me. I turn and sprint to my car, all the while feeling like I'm being pulled back toward the woods, but I manage to get in my car and drive down the mountain. As I'm driving, I begin to feel like that I just blew everything out of proportion. I begin to feel like a pussy. I decide to sleep in my car in the forest, but a little closer to civilization. At 4 a.m., I get woken up out of my light sleep by this vibration. It seems to be shaking everything around me. There's nothing in my car that should be or could be vibrating, besides my phone, which is in my hand with the light on. This unnerves me even more. For the next hour or so, I go in and out of sleep. When I finally wake up, I drive up the mountain, drink coffee, and watch the sunrise. I haven't camped alone there since. But things don't really end there. So I work and live in that same forest or thereabouts. I've worked there on and off for a few years. Often, I was the guy who was driving up at night or at other really stupid times. I would often work all day, then have to drive for parts or gas at a central location. The location was just inside the national forest, but on a road with some houses and maybe a few cabins on it. The locals would put signs up saying Area 52, alien containment, or some shit like that to be funny. One local guy builds this weird thing that's overlooking the road. It was always off-putting. Basically, it's a bunch of stick figure looking things. There were 7 of them, and as you can tell by the picture, they were always quite off-putting. My first time by it, the guy I'm driving up with says, "There are 7 friends on the hill." He explains that if you say it out loud, there will always be 7, and they won't move. I ask what happens if you don't say it. He says, "Just say it every time, dude. Don't question it." Fast forward a year or two. It's 3 a.m. I'm coming back from a supply run. I'm already quite tired. I roll the window down to keep myself cold and alert. The work truck has these really old crank windows, and I keep having to screw with it in order just to get the window to come down. I'm coming up that turn. I see movement out of my peripheral vision. There's lots of deer in this forest, sometimes moose. I can't risk smoking a deer at 3 a.m. in the work truck. I whip my head over to look, but there's nothing there. And this keeps happening until I get to the top of the hill, and as I pass by it, I look back, and I get this weird feeling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one missing. I get a bad feeling. I look back again, thinking maybe I was just at a weird angle. This time, I'm driving really slow. I count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's still only 6. I notice that the poses are different. One of them has arms that are much longer than normal, and they're up in a V formation. I think, did it always have that? I'm thoroughly creeped out. I punch it down the hill going toward the woods. I keep getting glimpses of something off to my side, always in my peripheral or just out of my sight, but when I turn my head, I never see anything. And then I can feel and hear like something is running parallel to me. I'm on a dirt road. I still get up to 40 miles per hour though. I have this sinking feeling in my gut. These shadows at the end of my peripherals are closing in. I finally make it to a paved road, and I punch it. The movement stops. As soon as I get out by this farm, everything seems to lighten up. The feeling goes away. The shadows go away. Everything seems to return to normal. I look up this picture on my phone that I took a few weeks before this, and there are 7 there, and the poses are different than what I saw that night. As you can imagine, I didn't sleep. Not only that, but every time I drive by, I don't forget to say there are 7 friends on the hill. So, did any of those encounters stick out to you? Personally, I liked them all. But if one stuck out to you, let me know which one it was down in the comments. And if you have one of your own that you'd like to see in a video, or if you would like to donate to the channel, there's links down in the description below that you can do that at. And with that, I think I will keep you no longer. I hope you enjoyed the videos this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, then please like and subscribe. And I will see you again on Wednesday. Thank you for pulling up a stump with me, and thank you for watching. See you then.